What does that mean exactly?
Well, a 6-year visit's a long time.
I'm sorry, 6 hours. 6-hour visit. My bad. So what happens on a 6-hour visit where a deal does not get done?
Yeah, well, you're surely going to give him a physical. Let's get that out of the way. But obviously, you got to create a sense of urgency. If we're the Pittsburgh Steelers, if we're running the Steelers, and we gave $30 million a year and a second-round pick to DK Metcalf, our expectations are Mason Rudolph is not that quarterback. I am not letting Aaron Rodgers leave without signing, because here's why. If you go back, it doesn't happen a lot, but if you guys remember Teddy Bridgewater, his career was on the ascension. He had a non-contact injury that was season-ending. Arguably, he was really never the same. Point being is, albeit unusual, things could happen. And if I'm the Steelers, like, I want to lock him up ASAP. What happens if J.J. McCarthy walks the bases loaded in a mini camp, and now all of a sudden Kevin O'Connell's like, hey, we're going to go with Rodgers as 1 and McCarthy as 2. So I'm nervous. I have angst. I have a massive sense of urgency if I am the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, Mike T, the Pittsburgh Steelers are clearly all in on Aaron Rodgers. The New York Giants just signed Jameis Winston. Where does that leave Russell Wilson? Where do you think the best fit for him is, given what's going on in the landscape in the NFL?
Yeah, and remarkably, Giants were able to sign Winston without having him there for 6 years, which was really amazing. I would say, with Russell Wilson, if I'm, again, Pittsburgh, I can't sit there and think that if I just sit there at 21, I'm going to get a good quarterback. I think Jackson Dart goes early, and now, you're probably into the 4th best quarterback. So, again, Russell Wilson may not be perfect, but he's a lot better than Mason Rudolph. So, at some point, I got to say, hey, if you don't want it, Aaron Rodgers, we're going to sign. And, we're sort of in the dot connecting world right now. I think a lot of people think Cleveland at some point is going to get Kirk Cousins. Maybe they just feel like they got to be patient and wait out the Falcons.
Let's go back to the Giants and connect some more dots. So they bring in Jameis Winston, as CeCe said, but do you think they're still going to be aggressive and find another quarterback, a quarterback for the future in the draft?
I think they have to, Michelle. It's the old axiom, we got to win for today, keep our jobs, build something, and then develop for tomorrow. And again, not to do the autopsy, which we've done about Daniel Jones' contract, but last year, if they just turned in the card, they'd have J.J. McCarthy, who is a well-built, Big Ten, productive quarterback. I still don't understand, as great as Malik Nabers is going to be, why they didn't take J.J. McCarthy, and now you're in this incredible conundrum.
I guess my guess on that would be they didn't have secure enough jobs where they felt like they could reach at 6 for a quarterback. And my whole thing forever.
Why is it reach?
Well, that's the point.
But you just paid Daniel Jones.
Right. But to me, there is no such thing as a reach the quarterback position if you're right. There's only a reach if you're wrong.
But go back to CeCe's point. You show me the melted toughness of an owner, I'll show you a good organization. The Philadelphia Eagles drafted Carson Wentz, paid him over $100 million, drafted Jalen Hurts, rest of history. The Rams drafted Jared Goff, gave him over $100 million, and said, hey, guess what? We're better with Matt Stafford. If I'm the Giants, that's a sunk cost. It is what it is. We have a chance to get J.J. McCarthy. I don't care about Daniel Jones.
Even the Atlanta Falcons, they signed Kirk Cousins in free agency in March and drafted Michael Penix. And guess what? They're going to move off of him after paying him $100 million for what?
Yeah, exactly.
13, 14 starts?
Yep. Yeah, that's what good organizations do. You have to be opportunistic.
No doubt.
And again, we don't know, J.J. McCarthy's grade. The only grade we could give him right now is a grade of incomplete. But to me, all the indices, all the things you're looking for, and Grant, I went to a ton of Michigan practices. He's a leader. He's tough. He's coachable. It's important to him. He got better. What am I missing here?
Mm-hmm.
Mike T, one of the most debated contracts will be the Brock Purdy deal, which is expected to happen this offseason. If it's in line with what we've seen from quarterbacks over the past 3 years that are considered franchise guys, they're going to get, 21 to 25% of the salary cap. On the low end, that's Brock Purdy making north of $55 million a year. Is that something you would be comfortable with as a general manager, given the state of the 49ers?
Yeah, I would say yes, because, again, for the conversation we just had, if you take Brock Purdy out, what do you have? Look, Mac Jones is going to be on his, third team now with, Kyle Shanahan. And, look, maybe Mac Jones develops one day. But, if Brock Purdy graduates, Chris, what are your options?
Mike, let's go back to the Steelers for a second. We're talking about them waiting for Aaron Rodgers, and we're talking about the fact that they're in that position because of the choices they've made at the quarterback position historically, years past. And they've been one and done in the playoffs for the past 5 years. They're at a crossroads here. What's your viewpoint of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization right now? Not historically, but where they are right now.
Yeah, well, first it starts with a Hall of Fame coach. Like if every coach in the world was a free agent, Mike Tomlin's a top 3 acquisition. So starting right there, like you're off to a great start. Defensively, they're still good. Maybe they aren't as dominant. But you look at those 2 receivers, and you say you have George Pickens and DK Metcalf with Pat Freiermuth, and maybe Roman Wilson develops last year's pick from University of Michigan. That's pretty good. It's not perfect. It's pretty good. But again, like my concern is like, who's your quarterback? And that's why, like all those other pieces there, you feel good about Michelle. But like, gosh, real concern about who's playing quarterback.
Unsportsmanlike is brought to you by Robinhood. Get a 3% IRA match, only $5 a month with Robinhood. Mike Tannenbaum joining us, ESPN.
Robinhood, you have to have your money in there for 6 years.
6 years? Thank you. Mike's not going to let up on this. I don't blame him. I would do the same thing, actually.
Let me follow up with that, Mike T, because you brought up a great point in terms of everything that the Steelers have going for themselves. Can you explain to us why the Pittsburgh Steelers, as an organization, wouldn't be aggressive in trying to move up in the draft from 21 to get a quarterback? Because they just don't. And we've seen teams in the past do that. Like, most notably, the Kansas City Chiefs in 2017. They moved from 27 to 10 to draft Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Like, why won't the Pittsburgh Steelers get aggressive to move up? It's clear that Mike Tomlin is one of the very best coaches in the NFL. Your team is never going to fall off a cliff. You're never going to be bad enough to be picking in the top 5. So if that's the case, why not mortgage future draft capital in order to get your franchise quarterback?
Well, for this year, Chris, the inverse to me is who you're trading up for. Like, I mean, I think Shador is going to be a solid player. I think he's a B. I think Jackson Dart's interesting. Like a lot of mixed opinions around him in the league. So who are you trading up for? And I think going back, the Chiefs had Alex Smith, but they had a conviction that, Patrick Mahomes had a ability. Obviously, they were historically right, and the rest is history. But to me, like, you guys say, like, who are we trading up for?
But it's not just this year in isolation. They haven't done that in past years. We saw
fair.
6 quarterbacks go in the first 12 picks last year.
Yep.
Like, they just the Pittsburgh Steelers don't do it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And look, like 6 of the first 12, and now we're talking about the Giants and Steelers who had those opportunities a year ago, and now we're sitting there and they still don't have those questions answered.
Mike, very quickly, are there teams that take big swings for quarterbacks that we don't even know about behind the scenes? For example, the Giants and the Steelers as 2, right? We have said now for the better part of the last month they should be taking a swing at Brock Purdy until the deal gets done. We said previously maybe Trevor Lawrence is a no trade. Kyler Murray we've brought up. Are they doing that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, another one to me is the Rams. Like, if I'm the Rams, like, we missed on Spencer Bennett to be the replacement for, Stetson Bennett, to be the replacement for, Matthew Stafford. If I'm them, I'm keeping looking. He's a 1 year at a time guy. You have a great young nucleus on defense, a little bit like what we're just talking about with the Steelers, with the Rams. Good coach, good defense. So, yeah, there are teams absolutely that are saying, obviously when the Seahawks traded Geno Smith, Evan, for a 3, they knew they were going to have Sam Darnold.
Right. But I don't understand why there's not bigger swing, like offering it. Like, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a team. And if you're the New York Giants or Pittsburgh Steelers, offering massive amounts to get a quarterback and making a team say no is what I would do. But obviously, I'm wrong because no one seems to do that. Mike Tannenbaum will be with you for the next 6 years on Get Up Today at 8 a.m. East.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Có tiêu đề là kính hiển vi. Mọi người, hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là kính lúc